evening, Birmingham. Good evening. Good evening, UK. Good evening, Europe. Wherever you are today listening to Feminine Touch Radio with your ladies, Jara, Yannick, and Chido, the HIV Positive Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we will be talking about born positive, navigating HIV, pregnancy, and parenthood. Welcome, 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 ladies. How are you two?
Oh, we're doing all right. I'm good. Thank you. Welcome, everybody.
Can't wait for a fantastic show today.
Oh, yeah. It's a very interesting topic we've got.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you all know, this show is about educating and navigating HIV and the importance of testing. Early diagnosis means prevention and also treatment. Today is all about the ladies. It's all about pregnancy and parenthood, because the past couple of shows we've had from feedbacks, we've had questions around how do you navigate being HIV and having a baby, because quite a lot of people think that when you're HIV positive, you cannot actually have a baby, or when you have a baby, you will be transmitting the infection, and that's not the case. So today, that's what we're going to be talking about. Chido.
Yes. Yeah, you're right, Jara. A lot of people, I know historically, were under the impression that if you are positive, you cannot have children. This was even mentioned to me at some point in the early days after my diagnosis, but it's not true. So that's what we're here to dispel, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to talk about just a little bit of overview about HIV in pregnancy, breastfeeding in the UK, and key statistics. Just a few. We know that in the UK, about 600 to 800 pregnancies annually to HIV positive mothers, and the risk of vertical transmission is very, very low. You're talking about 0.3%. That's so minuscule.
Yeah.
And this is all down to medication that when you're pregnant that you take. So today we'll be talking about when you're pregnant, what happens, and hopefully we'll have a midwife on the show as well who will call in to just talk to us about what she does with her patients when she is seeing them antenatally who are already diagnosed with HIV. We know that universal HIV screening is offered to all pregnant women in the UK as part of a routine antenatal care. And we also know, these are facts, uptake exceeds 99% with early testing enabling timely initiation of antiretroviral therapy. And that is the key. The treatment is the key. Hence, today we're having this discussion. I cannot talk about testing enough because you only know your status if you're tested. So testing is prevention. So, ladies, welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you today?
Yeah.
Yannick?
What a day.
It's a hot
It's
day.
a hot day. But we have to give God thanks, because
Yeah.
I don't normally get this kind of weather. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. Very positive. Ready for the show. And just want to say hi to everyone out there today. Don't forget, guys, once you go online, we've got the online chat. Just go down to the bottom and just let us know that you're listening in, just to say hi. If you're listening in to the show today, don't be afraid to comment, ask questions, and let us know. You can follow us on Instagram, the HIV Positive Show. Please, guys, go on there and follow us on our YouTube channel, which is at the HIV Positive Show. And like, subscribe, and share. Share. So welcome, everyone. Welcome. And yes, over to you, Jara.
Okay, ladies, let's talk about antenatal screening and HIV diagnosis. So I touched about it earlier, talking about in the UK, the uptake exceeds 99%. So it's one of those tests that we do offer to all pregnant women. It's part of your bloodborne virus testing. And when I talk about bloodborne virus, I'm talking about HIV, I'm talking about hepatitis B, I'm talking about hepatitis C, and also I'm talking about syphilis infection, which is a bacterial infection. So I guess in the UK, and to be honest, it's not only UK, European countries, they all do this. I guess Where the problem comes, as always, in Africa and third world countries, this is not offered to all women, partly because education is limited when it comes to information around pregnancy and the importance of protecting the baby. But most importantly is money, because we do know, if I look at sub-Saharan Africa, 95% of medical care are private.
Yeah.
95% are private. So it is tough out there. And hence, what we see in sub-Saharan Africa and what we see here is completely different. But how does that feed in to what we in our community face? So because people don't want to test, one, they don't have the money. Two, you're thinking, even if I get tested, I'm positive, and then what? How am I going to treat myself? Yeah. So this is why you tend to see vertical transmission in those countries. However, things have changed a lot, and I think Chido is a good example of that. Chido, do you want to just touch on that for me? Just a little bit about your experience whilst you were in Sub-Saharan Africa, because that's where you got diagnosed originally.
Yeah. In Sub-Saharan Africa, like in the early 2000s, there wasn't so much of testing. Actually, there was testing, but I think they didn't know how to disclose the results, because I remember I was tested when I was pregnant. They tested for syphilis, for HIV and other things, but I never got the result for my HIV test. I'm sure they knew what it was, but maybe they couldn't tell me. If they had, this would have been different for my baby, because I ended up losing a baby because of this not knowing, because my baby ended up ill because of the vertical transmission that happened. So again, it's as good as they didn't test. So imagine if I had been tested and told my results, they could have intervened. I could have had antiretroviral therapy. Yeah. The baby would have had the prophylaxis for the first 6 weeks. Yeah. So I now know about this, because for all the other babies I had, they're negative. They had all this. All these interventions were done, and I went on to have healthy babies. So this is a testimony that you can absolutely have healthy babies. I breastfed 3 of my babies. The last one, the youngest one, I almost reached 2 years breastfeeding him, but then I couldn't quite make it because he was drinking too much. And I formula fed one of them because I was scared, because I was getting mixed messages about breastfeeding.
That's something that we're going to talk about today. So it's part of the topics that we're going to touch on today, because I know there's a lot of conversations around breastfeeding. And
there is.
When we talk about breastfeeding, especially with HIV positive mothers, even us as clinicians, we're not very confident. Because everybody's thinking, well, hang on a minute, mother to baby transmission, you can get it via breastfeeding. We know that. But I will touch on that later on in the show. It's one of the segments that we're going to talk about. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to get one of the midwives on the show to talk to us a little bit more about that. And hopefully we will share the new BEVA guidelines that have just come out this year that's touched on breastfeeding. It is one of those things that even mothers themselves get very anxious about it, because they're thinking, well, if I breastfeed, I'm going to pass the virus on. But obviously, this is when we talk about U equals U. Undetectable viral load means untransmissible. So which is so important. And I cannot emphasize U equals U enough. Honestly, I cannot emphasize. And you can see the data currently. Vertical transmission rate, as I said earlier, is 0.3%. In the UK. This is the UK data. Because of what? Because of treatment. But I guess the important aspect here, you can only have treatment or receive treatment if you've been tested. Because then you'll know where your diagnosis is, isn't it? But if you don't get tested, you will never know. And the risk of that is, and sometimes, although the uptake of HIV testing in antenatal is very high, you do have some people that will decline it.
Even now?
You do have women that will decline it. But also you have late presenters. You do have women who, during pregnancy, they never have antenatal care. by the time they're ready to have antenatal care, this transmission's already occurred.
Yeah.
Because the earlier you're actually on medication, the better. So late presenters are usually, you tend to have women who have got really difficult life.
Yeah.
They have computing things in their life. Some of them are sofa surfing. We do know in this country at the moment, housing is a big problem. So you've got food security, you've got housing security issues.
Yeah.
It is tough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it is.
expecting these women to actually go and seek medical help, it's difficult. And by the time they end up showing up antenatal, the pregnancy is gone far. You're talking about 30 weeks, 35 weeks. Transmission's already occurred. So I guess the message is test, and, contact your GP if you don't want to go to sexual health clinics. There are clinics everywhere in Birmingham, obviously. I can't talk enough about Umbrella Sexual Health for Birmingham and Solihull. Also, you've got Wish, Wolverhampton. Now I forgot the name of the Wolverhampton one, but they also have a clinic, service where you can actually access testing. So I cannot emphasize testing enough. So Chido, just a little bit around when you were pregnant. When did you start your treatment?
So the first time I was pregnant, there was no treatment, obviously, because I did not have that diagnosis yet.
Yeah.
But by the time I was on my second pregnancy, I had already started treatment before that. But I did go to a private gynecologist because the public healthcare wasn't supportive enough. I mean, I wanted to be sure that everything was going to be okay this time around. So, so he switched my medication because the one I was on was not so good for pregnancy. I think there was it efavirenz?
Efavirenz.
Yeah, efavirenz. Yeah, so they had to take me off that onto a different one, which was safer for pregnancy. So they did all the tests throughout the pregnancy, CT4 count, viral load. It was undetectable throughout. And then when the baby was born, the baby would have to take one of the antiretroviral drugs as a syrup for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then they would be tested after that. They were negative. So all the interventions worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show about testing. I cannot emphasize testing enough, and having to have treatment very early on in pregnancy. So if you look at, I was talking about the Beaver guidelines that came out around antiviral therapy, and also during pregnancy, viral load monitoring and delivery plan is so important, and infant prophylaxis and testing, just like what you've talked about, because babies tend to carry their maternal antibodies, so that's why they will need to test them, their antibodies, to make sure they're okay. But most importantly, the importance of testing is around making sure, especially if the mother decides to breastfeed, because if you're going to breastfeed, it's exclusively breast milk.
Yeah.
You cannot do combination. You cannot do combination feeding. It has to be exclusively breast or the other.
Yeah.
And I think this is so important. But again, I think as clinicians, I'm hoping I've got some clinicians today listening, that it's important that we do speak to our patients for them to make that choice, having that conversation with them, for them to be able to make that decision to either breastfeed or to give formula feeding, because different cultures do different things.
Yeah.
And I know that in an African culture, breastfeeding is so important for an African woman.
Yeah.
But also you've got family dynamics where the women expected to breastfeed. So, and some of those women will never ever have disclosed their diagnosis to family members.
Yeah.
So it becomes tricky. How did you
does.
navigate that?
So, obviously I breastfed my first baby because I did not know what was going on, and that was a whole nother dynamic. But for the one that I formula fed, I mostly isolated myself.
Oh my God.
So I ended up not exposing myself to family functions. You know, when you have to go with a baby somewhere, I would either leave the baby at home or just not go to the place, because if I took them, I would have to be bottle feeding them. Then people would be asking, why are you doing that? And either they would ask or they'll just make their own conclusions, which was something I wasn't prepared for. So that in itself carried its own set of challenges. Yeah.
Yeah, so it comes back to the same thing when we talk about the psychological impact of being a mother, being HIV positive. Motherhood in itself is tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But having to actually navigate that between yourself, your family, because people will ask, oh, how comes you're not breastfeeding? And I know in the past we've had, even before the guidelines change, we have women who would say they will breastfeed, doesn't matter what you do. And sometimes what they do, they just avoid the clinics. They don't attend clinics because they just hide for them to just continue breastfeeding. Because in those days, we never advised breastfeeding at all. But nowadays, obviously, things have changed, because historically, formula was recommended.
Yeah.
Always to eliminate postnatal transmission risk. However, we know that recent data and advocacy have prompted a more individualized, informed choice approach. Okay. And that's how it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Because as a woman, I should have a choice.
Yeah.
Do I want to breastfeed or not? And I expect my clinician to be able to have the information for me. But also, I say to people, you also need to read so you can actually understand.
For yourself.
Yeah, for you to be able to understand, for yourself. The guidelines are very clear. Yes, it might mean that you have to attend clinic more often than if you're not breastfeeding, because obviously then we need to keep an eye on your viral load and we need to keep an eye on the baby's viral load. But if a mother is taking their medication correctly with no issues whatsoever, there is no reason why you should not breastfeed.
Yeah.
Wow.
So things have changed, things have moved on,
Yeah.
So if you look at viral suppression, why do we encourage breastfeeding these days and transmission risk? The goal for viral suppression, we talk about less than 50 copies per meal of your viral load by delivery. In 2022, over 92% of women achieved this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's 2022.
Yeah.
So let alone we talk about, what women are doing. And I've talked about the vertical transmission rate of 0.3%. But again, that 0.3%, if you actually do a deep dive, there are other nuances for that particular patient group. It could be some of those patients might be patients who are late presenters, maybe tested very late in pregnancy. So that opportunity was never there to actually support them with treatment. Yeah. But at the moment, vaginal delivery is recommended if your viral load is suppressed. Otherwise, you have a planned cesarean, again, which may be advised. It's women's choice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good that they recommend that. But for myself, my gynecologist, it's almost like he said that's the only way you have to have a cesarean delivery. And I was okay with it because I was like, whatever reduces the chances of transmission.
Yeah.
So that ended up meaning I had to have all my other children via cesarean, although I had my first by natural delivery.
Yeah.
But after that, I had to have all cesareans after that. But I didn't mind because I was like, okay, that's reducing. That's another factor that's reduced transmission to my baby. So that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it just goes to show that most people we don't give choices to women.
Exactly.
And I think this is not even around HIV. We do know that, especially Black women.
Yeah.
The data is very, very clear.
It's almost like they want to tell you how you feel.
Yes.
And what you should do with your own body.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can't express yourself.
No, you
and
can't.
telling them what your body needs.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And we do know, if you look at the maternal death rate in Black women is high. I think the last data I looked at, I'm sure, is about 5%.
Oh.
This was a while back when I was looking at the data. The most recent data, I'm sure, it's dropped a little bit, but it is there.
In the UK.
Yeah. This is in the UK. So there was a study. It was called, if this was done by Lewisham and Birmingham, it was called the Black Hole Report.
Wow.
If anybody can access that, we will drop the link on our social media handles. It's very good. Did a really, really good report around mental health, around how Black women in who are pregnant in maternity, what their survival rates are, and all that. And this is conversations that we have all the time. This is 2025 and we are still talking about Black maternal mortality rates.
Wow.
We need to do better.
Yeah.
It-
That's what we were talking about today in the meeting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
25 and we're still struggling with certain things in the health segments. And,
Yeah.
you know, just things that we face, especially as women.
Yes.
It's just really bad. And as you said before, you know, as women, we struggle with so many things. What's having to do with HIV.
On top of it.
On top of that. And what it comes with as well. So, there's a lot for us.
Oh, there is,
Wow.
Yeah. And I know now I look at the NHS the way we go. So if you look at sexual reproductive health at the moment, even NHS, everybody's going digital. You know, for you to book an appointment, you have to go online. You have to. So yes, digital healthcare is good. However, we need to remember it's not for everybody.
No,
yeah.
That's the thing. I'm still waiting on an appointment from Monday.
There you go.
I'm still waiting for the doctor. I was told the doctor's going to call me that day.
They haven't called yet?
Still waiting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So digital health is not for everyone.
No.
Interestingly enough, there is a study actually I'm part of, which we're going to be looking at the impact of digital health. Especially Black, African, Caribbean women, because it's important. And most of these services, we create our digital platforms without actually consulting our patients. You know,
it's a surprise when you
or you need to go online. But then the other important thing that we don't also think about is not everybody that actually got access to this digital. Because it's not because everybody's got a mobile phone means that they all have data.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people have data, but that data is for things that they think, you know, and they cannot afford it. So affordability is a problem. Digital poverty is real.
Oh, yeah.
Whether I want it or not, we know digital poverty is real.
It is, yeah.
So
it's true, not everybody, because not everybody thinks it's important for them right now in their life.
That's right.
You know, even that, I don't think they think about it.
Yeah.
And it's complicated.
Exactly, it is.
You know, it's not something that, if you're not in tune a certain way, you just don't get it.
Yeah,
and it's not everybody that gets it.
And it's frustrating.
Yeah, and it can be frustrating.
It can be frustrating because the forms that you have to fill online. Yes, you know, I say to people, it's important that we are empowered. But I'm a big believer that patients should have choice. Yeah. And that choice for me would be, yes, you might have 40% or 50% of your patients who are young. This generation, they're happy to go online. They can do everything online. They can self-manage. Okay, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But we need to also remember there might be another 50% of your population who needs to be seen face to face.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And online might not be able to. That's right.
Yeah, I know somebody I worked with, British male. He's over 60 and he does not have a mobile phone.
There you go.
And he was really kicking the wall. He was like, I'm never going to get one.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to have one. He's got a landline in his house. And are you going to force him to get a mobile phone so that he can access healthcare?
Yeah.
And obviously it's not only him. There's obviously other people like him.
Yeah.
So, that's all.
Some people, it's just not their thing.
No, it's not.
You know, I would think because the majority has it, that everybody is, you know, using it. But no.
Not everybody.
No, not everybody's not using it. Just want to send a shout out to everyone that's listening in. I can see Audrey. She says hi from Jamaica. That's my mom.
Hello, Audrey.
Hi, Audrey.
Hi, mother. And then I think it's Sato or Sato.
Yeah.
Thank you all for this wonderful education. And she's also saying, thank you, Sister Chido, for sharing your experience. Hope listeners will benefit from it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for tuning in. As I say, guys, once you go online, just go to the bottom and join the chat. Any questions, let us know. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, HIV Positive Show, From Stigma to Strength, and on YouTube at the HIV Positive Show. And just subscribe, share, and just join in, guys. And I just want to send a shout out also to our silent listeners. I know you're listening in, guys.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Brilliant. So our next segment, we're going to talk about lived experiences, pregnancy while positive. So we're going to go on a break.
Okay,
and
guys,
we'll be back and we're going to talk about pregnancy while positive. What does it mean for people? And Shida will be sharing her experience.
Yeah.
And please, if you're out there listening, you don't have to give your name. You can, send us text messages. You can call us. Yeah. We need to hear the experiences out there, because that's the only way we'll be able to educate each other. We are learning. We are learning too. Mm-hmm. So please, text, call. Yeah.
Go on the chats. Yes, Rose J. She says, brilliant discussion. Really enjoying it. Mm. Okay, thanks, guys. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
If you're touched by the words in the song, then maybe you got it bad. When you're on the phone, hang up and you call right back. Oh, you got it bad. If you miss a day without your friend, your whole life's off track. Oh, you got it bad when you're stuck in the house. You don't wanna have fun. That's all you think about. You got it bad when you're out with someone, but you keep on thinking about somebody else. Got it bad when you say that you love them, and you really know everything that used to matter don't matter no more. Like my money, all my cars, you can have it all. And flowers, cards, and candy, you it just cause said I'm fortunate to have you, girl. I want you to know I really adore you. All my people know what's going on. Look at your mate, help me sing my song. Tell her I'm your man, you're my girl. I'm gonna tell it to the whole wide world. Lady, say I'm your girl, you're my man. Promise to love you the best I can. See, I've been there, done it, up around. After all that, this is what I found. Every one of y'all are just like me. It's too bad that you can't see that you got it bad. You got it bad. You're on the phone, hang up, and you call right back. You got it bad. If you miss a day without your friend, your whole life's off track. Oh, you got it bad when you're stuck in the house. You don't wanna have fun. That's all you think about. Look at yourself. You got it bad when you're out with someone, but you keep on thinking about somebody else. Got it bad.
Hello. We're back. Right. So this next segment is about lived experience, pregnancy while positive. Chido is here, who is a peer mentor, supports HIV patients who are living with HIV, because she's gone through the journey. She's taught me so much.
Yeah.
I've learned so much from both Chido and Yannick. Yeah. Obviously, Yannick is an author. She's just wrote about her journey. Chido, if at this segment, if you can just go through your journey. I know you touched on your diagnosis, but I just want to know how you navigated stigma, especially around disclosure and the support system and your mental health.
It wasn't easy, especially after, remember the way people got to know about my diagnosis wasn't really about me disclosing, but, about one person finding out and then ending up that a lot of people in the family know. So I can't remember who exactly, but somebody said to me that I should not be having any more babies because of my status.
Oh my goodness.
Because the assumption was that if I ever had babies, I was going to give them the virus. And this was not just isolated to lay people. I remember even one nurse said this to me at a clinic, the local clinic where I went, because this was before ARVs were introduced, and the way they approached it was like, just don't have any more babies. That was the same person who advised me against breastfeeding, even though I was already breastfeeding my first baby, and they were like, that's just going to make things worse. You get all sorts of conflicting messages, and then you end up a bit confused, not knowing what to do. But Yeah, so that was like before I went on to have more babies. I did, though, receive really good support in my subsequent pregnancies, because by that time there was more education. There were trained counselors who knew how to support. They were very supportive. I received counseling anytime I needed it. I could go to... They were actually there in the HIV clinic. They were just dedicated to counseling people who were living with the virus. So I would get specialized attention. I would, if I needed an appointment, they would be quick to give it to me, because they would like, it was like they were like racing to make sure that all the babies who are getting born will be born negative. So the support, the support was really good. Although what limited it was the resources. Remember, this is sub-Saharan Africa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there were really limited resources. So the staff were good, but they could only do so much. Yeah. So yeah, I did receive good support, which helped me to have healthy babies. But in society, I could never have these discussions at that time. I could never talk about this. There was no way I could ever tell somebody that I was HIV positive at the time I was pregnant, because that would have caused like an outburst. People would be like, "Are you crazy? So why are you pregnant? Why are you having children?" Or even breastfeeding. I remember when I was breastfeeding, and somebody who knew about my status, they were like, "Why on earth are you breastfeeding? You're putting your baby at risk." I mean, I had received a bit of education on that by that time and support. I knew it was okay, it was safe, but it's not easy explaining this to somebody who doesn't really know much about it. Yeah. So.
And that's the thing as well. Why comment on something you don't know?
Oh, people are really good at that.
Instead of asking questions, people tend to,
judge.
Judge.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think for me, you touched on it. Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, when you look at the HIV rates, are high.
Yeah.
Yes, things have moved on with support. However, we cannot talk about HIV and AIDS and support without thinking of what Trump has done to US AIDS.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not political. Yeah. I don't want to be political. I don't want to talk about politics. However, we know quite a lot of the AIDS that actually go to sub-Saharan Africa comes through WHO, but also UNAIDS. There's a lot of money they put. But now we've lost that.
Yeah.
So we have to watch the space, because what does that mean to those mothers?
Yeah. It's scary.
It is really scary when you think about it. In this country, we are very fortunate because the NHS is free. As much as we moan about it, the care is there, is free, and you've got the education that you always need. However, it's going to be tough few years, and lots of people are going to die, and children are going to be diagnosed with HIV because there's no money for people to be able to be prescribed with the appropriate antiretroviral medication for them to take it. And, formula milk, how many people can afford it? It's not a lot of people, even in this country right now.
Yeah.
Things are tough for mothers. It's subsidized. HIV women in this country do have subsidies for, they can have free formula milk. I know there's a program in Birmingham that does provide that via Birmingham City Council. And that's because cost, people, the cost of living has increased, and let alone countries like Africa. But I want to touch around stigma, especially when it comes to disclosure. Okay. So HIV, I work as a health advisor, and I know whether it's HIV, whether it's gonorrhea, whether it's chlamydia, just by saying to somebody, you need to let your sexual partner know that you've got an infection. Oh my goodness. It is tough. It's not easy to talk about, let alone, HIV. And women, especially, if you're the first person to be diagnosed with HIV, you tend to find that it is tough for them. And I always counsel women, and I will say to them, the most difficult part of it, it's not around your medical bit, because medically you will be fine. You will be well treated. You will receive your medications, and it's all free. You don't have to worry about that. But it's a societal view, especially when you are from a community like ours. Every time we have this show, we talk about stigma and how that stigma impacts on our patients' mental health. And obviously, you girls, come on, you know all about this. I don't even You know, you've shared your stories. You know, Yannick, you've gone through domestic abuse. You know, it is tough out there.
Yeah.
So this is why I always say to clinicians, it's about understanding the patient's circumstances and giving them that advice that they need and how they can actually navigate that. Because I think sometimes we just look at things and we think, okay, oh my God, they're being selfish. They don't want to tell their partners. But it's important that we do support the patients, work with them until they're able to, you know, to get that confidence for them to be able to tell their partners. And I think the important thing here is to ensure they know that they cannot be having any sex at all until the partners are tested and they are zero fast. And nowadays we have PrEP. Guys, the new guidelines came out today.
Oh, wow.
The new guidelines came out today. Honestly, I'm so excited. And this new guideline, honest to God, you know, we're gonna get rid of HIV.
Yeah, awesome.
You know? Pre-exposure prophylaxis. This is a medication that you take for you to prevent you from getting HIV.
Yeah.
So basically, I call it the morning after pill. Actually, and this is the morning before pill for HIV. Not the morning after pill, is the before pill for HIV, because you have to take it every day before you have sex. So that's the most important thing around it. And I'm so excited.
Oh, that's awesome.
And these new guidelines, it's basically, it's inclusive.
Right.
It's inclusive. Women are part of it as well.
Do you have to go in to get it, or can you get it online?
You have to go into clinic to get it. It is really important that you do approach your sexual health clinics. Although the new guidelines is pushing for GPs to also provide PrEP, or
that's good. That would
at
be
least
great,
provide the information to your patients. If you're a GP out there, please go online and look at the BASH guidelines, which is BASHH. The guidelines 2025, it came out brand new today. So you can actually educate your patients. If you cannot prescribe it, it's absolutely fine. You need to send them to a sexual health service and we will be more than happy to prescribe it.
Yeah.
And who is PrEP for? Anybody can come in and ask for PrEP as long as you know that you're having condomless sex. Heterosexuals especially, I cannot reiterate it enough, because sometimes we don't actually perceive ourselves as high risk, despite the fact that we're having condomless sex, you know, with different partners, but we think that actually we're not high risk. And when you talk about high risk, people always tend to associate it with gay, bisexual, and men who have sex with men, but actually it's not. If you look at the HIV diagnosis rate, the trend, heterosexual trend is going up. The GBMSM, which is the gay, bisexual men who have sex with men, is going down. And that's all down to PrEP. So it's so important that we educate ourselves. And you know, if you've got a partner out there who's already known HIV and you don't know whether they're taking their medication or not, please attend your local sexual health service. And, you know, you've got health advisors there, you've got nurses who, you know, they're very good at what they do, and they'll be able to actually educate you on this. Right. Before we deviate on PrEP, I want to touch on stigma a bit more. And just, Yannick, do you just want to share a little bit about your journey around stigma and your mental health?
Yeah, so stigma. I think stigma for me came mostly from myself, especially in the beginning.
Internalized.
Yeah. Internalized stigma. I mean, you can see this. So far, I haven't really gotten anybody like that's proper in my face, but you can see it's kind of
under the surface.
Yeah, under the surface, where people probably behave a certain way, or they have a certain comment that they make, and you know that it's like, really. Yeah. But I think for me, mainly it was internalized stigma. Obviously, until we know about HIV or know somebody who has HIV, it's not really something you're going to be reading up about or getting to know about.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not something that's being talked about. So I had to deal with my own internal stigma, and that really affected my mental health. I mean, when I first found out I had HIV, I was just about to get married. Yeah. And when I was engaged at the time to get married, and even though I was kind of having second thoughts about going through with the marriage, the moment I found out I was HIV positive, I I stick with it because I'm like, nobody's gonna want me.
Yeah.
And the guy, you know, my ex-husband at the time, he was saying, you know, I still love you, I still want to be with you. And you're thinking, because at first you're thinking I'm damaged.
Yeah, nobody's gonna want
So
me.
if you still love me and want me, then all right, okay, I'll settle for whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can't get any worse than that.
That's what you think.
Than what I'm going through at the moment. You can't get any worse. You know, at the time, that's what I was thinking. So the stigma is so real that it causes you to make decisions that you don't need to make.
That's true.
So that's something I needed to work on, and I did work on it. And I'm still working on it. Because you have
it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing. Sometimes it comes up in you because if you're... Like the other day I had a bit of panic because I shared with somebody my status, and then I was thinking they were acting a bit funny with me, and I panicked. Yeah. Imagine I was here doing whatever. And still being panicked, but I panicked. I was thinking, but it was just me.
Yeah.
Because obviously you tell this person about it, and then I know for some reason we always have this illusion and things just look extra.
You project.
You project so much, and it's crazy because I remember coming down in the kitchen and I was proper bawling, you know, and going and thinking, oh my God, should I have shared? And then at the same time I was saying, yeah, why not? You know, like, I don't care if they whatever, it's up to them, and you know, you keep on having to talk to yourself. So stigma is real. It's not just from people that's out there. And I think a lot of times, as I always says, it's always internal. It's whatever we are thinking that we think other people are going to be thinking.
Absolutely.
Because most of the time, most people don't even care.
Yes.
They just want to know that you're okay. And everything like that. So I'm still having to deal with it.
Yeah. And this is somebody, you're a peer mentor, you're an author, you've wrote about your journey.
I'm not afraid to talk about
exactly. You always talk about HIV, and yet still you still have that little bit of voice in the back of your head nagging you. You know, you're thinking, oh, I should have no. So just imagine somebody who does not have the knowledge that you have. So it's honestly, this is why I cannot talk enough about stigma, and the only way we will eradicate stigma is having these conversations in our communities.
Definitely.
We need to have the conversations. Our children are growing up. We need to be having these conversations with everybody in the community for them to be educated. And also, the more we talk about it, we're removing the stigma. You're taking away that taboo. But if we don't talk about it, it's all cloak and dagger. It's the same thing with mental health in our communities. People don't like to talk about mental health, you know, and that's why people don't ask for help.
I know people nowadays who are afraid to say that they're depressed. They're afraid to use that word.
That's right.
To say depression.
They are.
And sometimes, you know, somebody probably talking and I'm like, you're depressed?
Yeah.
Depression?
Yeah.
That's right.
They don't
and
admit
they don't want to admit that it's depression because there's something about depression.
The stigma.
Saying that you're depression. Because I think people think that when you're depressed, it's this, you know, you're in this dark place. Whatever. But I think I was watching something online the other day and somebody was saying that, you know, when... As women, when sometimes we go through some things and we're expected to appear happy.
Yes.
And, you know, it's like there's nothing wrong to be sad about the situation.
Because you are
sad. Your body needs that.
That's right.
Because you are going through the trauma, especially after pregnancy and stuff like that. So your body needs that. So, you know, it's like even when you're trying to be happy, it's like you're putting yourself more in a state of depression because then you're doing what is against what the body is going through. So it's like, wow, okay. They say people can still appear to be happy and be depressed.
Absolutely. You do get that. And people have a mask on, isn't it? You put a mask on, you come out, you go to work, you do your stuff, but deep down there's a lot of stuff underneath that you actually
especially
processing.
us women.
And women do tend to do that because especially if you've got a family, you're there thinking, oh, you know, my family matters, I'm going to carry on. And you're not allowed. And this, you know, to actually cry, you know, and I get this even for men, you know, and then you the men are not supposed to cry, they're not supposed to express the way they feel. It's like it's all touchy, but actually this is important, and this is why our mental health nowadays, if you take a survey, there's loads of people who are suffering from mental health,
so many,
and because of this, going through depression, and by the time we ask for help, it's too late.
True.
You know, unless and until we start to have these frank conversations, you know, it's not going to go away.
No.
And listeners out there, please, let's talk to each other. Let's talk to family members.
Yeah.
Let's open up our lounges and talk about HIV and talk about sexually transmitted infections.
Exactly what we were
Educate
talking
our young people.
Yeah.
It is really, really
That's what we were
important.
talking
Yeah,
about,
we were
you know,
talking
young
about-
people.
Yeah.
It's
going into
talking
schools.
about it.
Yeah.
And you know, we were saying that I was saying, you know, when we were at the meeting today, like, this is why we do the show, because if nobody's talking, and if everybody's gonna be in a place where they're not talking about it because they don't want nobody to
Know their
behave
business.
a certain way with
Yep.
them or not talking to them and so forth, then we're not gonna break the stigma. We're
No.
not
No,
gonna be
we're
breaking
not.
down the barriers.
No.
We're still gonna be in that place where everybody is just being judgmental because
Yeah.
nobody's talking. Because nobody, the reason why we have these stigma and the problem out there, because nobody's seen anybody that's living with.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is experiencing or hearing what does it, you know, what
Look
does it
like.
look like? Who, you know, is living with
Yeah.
HIV?
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause as far as people are concerned, HIV is death sentence.
Yes.
HIV,
absolutely.
We're
AIDS,
not
and death.
seeing
Yeah.
anybody that's living with.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so even what we're saying, if we're prepared to say that we're going to go into schools and speak to young people and stuff like that, you know, we have to be in a place where we're ready to share our story
Yeah.
and be open
Yeah.
to talk about our status,
Yeah.
right? Because to me, it doesn't make sense to fool people with information and there's nobody to see who's
Living with.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
does living with
Mean.
look like?
Yeah.
You understand?
On that note, Yanni, can I just ask you a question?
Yeah.
How would you? Okay, you've been very outspoken for a while.
Yeah.
You don't mind talking about your status.
No.
How would you navigate if maybe you had a partner or somebody in your life who was against you talking about this because of how that would impact them? If let's say
a good
hypothetically somebody would say to you, Yannick, please stop what you're doing because people are gonna be knowing my business because I'm associated with you,
Yeah.
whether they're negative or not.
Yeah.
But just because of how it's gonna look on them, people knowing that Yannick is married to so and so people are gonna be saying so and so's wife is positive, so they
So
must be
it
whatever.
positive as
How
well.
how would you navigate that?
That's
So
a
then
very
again,
good question.
Yeah, very good question. So first of all, you would have to be in a place where you know who you are. That's the
Absolutely.
first thing.
Yeah.
Because somebody like that can shut you right down.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
If you don't know where you are and you don't know the purpose of why you're going out there and talking about what you're talking about, they can shut you right down.
Yeah.
If you know your purpose, why you're doing it, and you have the passion for it, it's simple. This is not about you.
Yeah.
This is about me.
Yeah.
If you know anything, and you need to say to them, this is why I'm talking about it, because people need to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I'm with somebody, I'm married to somebody, they are positive as well. Because there's relationships out there where
Yeah.
there's people who are positive
Yes.
and their partner is negative.
Negative.
Discordant.
Zero
There are
discordant.
out there who are having children,
Yeah.
who are negative
Yes.
and living a negative life,
Yeah.
and they are positive. So
Yeah.
for you to be saying this to me now, that's the reason why
Yeah.
I need to be talking.
Need to be talking about.
End
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
End of.
And that's a
If
very
you're-
good
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
That's a very good, and it's such a fantastic question because
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. Again, perception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My perception of HIV
Yeah.
actually makes me become, I stigmatize HIV.
Yeah.
Just like how you talked
Yeah.
about your own internalized stigma.
Yeah.
So you're right. You can be with somebody who is negative, and this
Yeah.
is where you have zero discordant couples,
Yeah.
which is absolutely fine. You expect that person to support you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
To act, but then because they have their own perception of HIV, they don't feel good you talking about it.
Yeah.
Again, it
Yeah.
comes back to the same thing I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, we want to put everything cloak and dagger, and there's nothing cloak and dagger about it. Not these days anyway.
No.
Yeah.
Because we know you equals you. So why are we not talking about HIV?
yeah.
Why are
Exactly.
we not pushing people to get tested? And they are a good example.
Yeah.
They should
Yeah.
be an advocate because they are negative.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are with somebody who's positive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And just because somebody's
Why are
with
you
somebody
making my
doesn't mean
story
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah.
Because that's literally what you're doing.
That's
You're
it.
making my story about
About
you.
yourself.
This is not even your story and your journey.
Hmm.
And first of all, you know, I'm not out there talking about you. I'm not mentioning your name.
Hmm.
And you know, if people around you you should be happy that I'm out there talking, because you should be listening and
Learning.
right? So when anybody says anything to you, you're able to say, you know, I'm proud of what that person is doing, and you can then explain to people. Because if somebody says to me, "Oh, why is your wife on the radio talking or
about
whatever?"
this,
Say I'm the husband. Why is your wife on the radio talking or whatever? And I would say, okay, why would you ask me that question?
Exactly.
Because you need to know what that person is thinking about. Why would they ask that question?
Yeah.
And that's how you open the conversation. Well, isn't it going to make you look like you're open? But did you know? But did you know?
Exactly. Then you start there.
You start to inform that person.
That's a lesson right there.
You understand? Because did you know that a positive person can actually be with somebody that's negative, and that person
And not pass
still
it on.
remain negative? Because did you know there's a thing called U equals U?
Yeah.
Did you know that if that person is on medication, right, they become U equals U, so they're undetectable, untransmittable.
Yeah.
So I can never catch the
virus.
The virus.
Not from
right?
them anyway.
Not from them anyway. Right? So that's why. And the fact that you're asking me this question or saying that to me shows why it's important
for you to talk about it.
Yeah. Shows
Absolutely.
you've got a gap in your knowledge. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
that confidence needs to come. You need to have this confidence. And
Yeah.
we talk about stigma, we talk about guilt, because people make people feel guilty.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know,
For sharing my
your
story,
story, you know, some people will say, but why are you sharing?
Yeah.
But if we don't share our stories, you will never ever know, and you will never get educated. And then, come on, this is 2025. We never break the barriers, and we need to. It's gonna continue. So,
Continue.
you know, and I can't talk enough around appropriate counseling, but the counseling has to be appropriate. It has to be culturally sensitive.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about giving women who are living with HIV and having babies counseling. Is that counseling right for them? Is it culturally sensitive counseling?
Yeah.
Because you need to understand we are all not the same. Our cultures are different.
Totally.
You know, different cultures perceive HIV differently. And giving that woman that time for you to be able to understand them and understand where they come from and what culture, you know, their culture expects from them.
Yeah.
It's so important. And this is why I always say to people, you need to set that scene.
Yeah.
Listen to your patient.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much we can learn from our patients. And then you'll be able to actually support them, provide that education until they get to where they get to. And you know what? We've got fantastic HIV services in the UK.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we
really,
do.
really good fantastic HIV services in the UK.
Doctors,
Yeah.
nurses who are quite clued up.
Yeah.
And are able to support you.
Yeah.
Just want to quickly go online because we've got a few comments on the line, on the chat, sorry. We got Joy. She says, Joy here. Thank Jara for inviting me. And then I think this is that Pore?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, ladies. Such an important, needed topic to break stigma and promote education. Isatu or Isatu.
Yeah.
How is it pronounced? Isatu?
Isatu.
Yeah, Isatu. That's very true, ladies. So I guess she's commenting on what
Yeah.
we're talking on. And Amaka, she says, insightful conversation, breaking the barriers surrounding stigmatization is an effective way to eliminating HIV. And Rose says, you're so right. Education is the way we can tackle stigma and make life better for everyone, whether they are positive or negative. Yes, thank you.
That is so
guys,
true.
for commenting.
Yeah, thank you.
Don't forget, guys, you can go on anonymously as well on the chat. So if you do have something to say, you can anonymously, you can use a different name to say what you're saying. If you have any questions, do go on the chat or online on our Instagram. You can send us a message and let us know that you're listening in. Share on YouTube, share and like and subscribe. And welcome guys, welcome, and thanks for listening in.
Okay, we're going to go on a short break, and when we come back, it's all going to be about breastfeeding. Feeding decisions, formula or breast.
Which
or
one?
both.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll be right back.
Yeah, that feels sexy right there. Yeah, feel us on this one. B. McKnight with Tim and Bob. This is not another love song.
See, I know what you're thinking. You're feeling like a lucky guy. I was the same way, cause she was hard to come by. I was on her so hard that I almost lost my hustle. Go ahead, playboy, do your thing. Don't be mad if she calls my name. Walk across, holding her hand, doing it big like you're the man. But she was my girl. She used to be my girl. I must admit that she's a 10 that she didn't tell you about way back when she was my girl. She used to be my girl. See, I know how you're feeling. I used to be in your shoes, so calm down with the attitude. You're just the next somebody new. You never know how much she's feeling you, so be happy that you got her. Don't know much about you, do. Sorry, I gotta break the news. She's still thinking about me, and I'll tell you why. She couldn't even hold her head up when you're by. Well, don't go hating on me. It's just a game. You want her, you gotta take her, you gotta. To me, it's all the same. All that was holding her hand, doing it big like you're the man. But she was my girl. She used to be my girl. I must admit that she's a 10, but she didn't tell you about way back when. She was my girl. She used to be my girl. Walk across, holding her hand, doing it big like you're the man. But she was my girl. She used to be my girl. I must admit that she's a 10, but she didn't tell you about way back when. She was my girl. She used to be my girl. Erotic, exotic, must admit she's got. She used to be my girl. Sexy with talent, built like a scout. She used to be my girl. You got her some Florida, know everybody wants. She used to be my girl. Cause you might not be the only, so never leave her alone. She's still thinking about me. She's still thinking about me. And looky here, and I tell you why. She couldn't even hold her head up when you're by. Don't go hating on me. It's just a game. You want it, you gotta take it, you gotta. To me, it's all the same. Walking around, holding her hand, doing it big like you're the man. But she was my girl. She used to be my girl. I must admit she used to be she's a 10, but she used to be a freak back then. We used to hold hands, she used to understand, she used to get down with me. She used to take trips with me, she used to wiggle her hips for me. She used to lick her lips for me. She used to be my girl. 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 Yeah, yeah, yeah. Used to be my girl. Yeah, 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 yeah. Used to be my girl. Yeah, 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 yeah. Used to be my girl. Yeah, 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 yeah. Used to be my girl.
Okay.
You to pause and slow your walk.
Okay, welcome back to the HIV Positive Show, from stigma to strength. And today it's all about being HIV positive and being a mother. And the next segment we will be talking about breastfeeding. because breastfeeding does, I touched on it earlier, and I know it's really interesting today because I was just talking to my colleagues and we were talking about why we advise against combination feeding. And when I talk about combination feeding, it's around giving formula milk and breast at the same time. So Chido's touched on it as a mother. She's gone through 3 pregnancies, 3 children. Where she breastfed one and the rest. Did you breastfeed one and then formula fed the rest? Or
No, formula fed one.
And then the rest was breastfeeding.
Breastfeeding, yes.
So how did you feel when you were formula feeding? And was this in an African context? Was
Yes.
this in Africa?
Yes.
How did that make you feel as an African mother?
Well, I actually felt like maybe I wasn't a good mother because I felt like all mothers should breastfeed their babies. That's like the first gift you give your baby.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what kind of a mother am I if I can't even do this for my child? If I breastfeed him, I'm putting him at risk. I didn't know at that time that it was no longer a risk because I was on medication. But in my mind, I was like, I would transmit to him. And I felt like there was no bonding. Of course, there is bonding. Studies now show that you can bond just as much with a formula-fed baby as with a breastfed baby. But it really took a toll on my mental health, although I didn't realize it at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, but I felt a lot better when I was breastfeeding the other babies. I was like, oh, I'm so glad I can do this now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's really interesting and intriguing. It's around safety, isn't it? And again, it comes back to our own knowledge, clinicians' knowledge around breastfeeding. And the question always comes around, well, how comes we're saying they can breastfeed exclusively and not mix the feed? So, we know that is why there is a risk for combination feeding for mothers, because we know that there's increased risk of HIV transmission. Mixed feeding can irritate the baby's guts.
Yeah.
So we know about this, causing small lesions sometimes in the intestinal lining. And this lesion may allow HIV present in the breast milk to cross into the bloodstreams, increasing the risk of infection. Yes. So that's why if you're going to breastfeed, you exclusively breastfeed. If you're going to formula feed, it is important you do formula feed.
Yeah.
And you touched on it, how it made you feel as a mother, because I think sometimes we make comments, even as clinicians, with why didn't you just formula feed?
Yeah.
But actually, as a woman,
It's not that easy.
It's not that easy. And then you have to look at the cultural perspective of it as well, especially if you're living in a home where you've got your in-laws living with you. And, quite a lot of us will live in households where you've got different generations living together, which is very common. But not even that. When people come and visit you, your husband's family, your partner's family will come in and thinking, oh, why is she not breastfeeding?
Yeah.
And as a woman, that actually does impact on your mental health.
Oh, yeah.
So much. So much. So, and again, it comes down to the same thing we talk about education. And I will never stop saying this, stigma is what's killing us.
Yes, it is.
And the lack of knowledge is what's killing us, not the HIV virus.
Yeah.
Because we know HIV virus these days doesn't kill anyone as long as you're taking your medication, but most importantly, getting tested first. So I cannot emphasize testing and the importance of testing and regular testing enough. So it's kind of like for us as clinicians, we have to be so culturally aware and actually understand people's cultural and their home lives, because that's really important. Because you can see somebody, it's just that about 20 minutes, if half an hour, 1 hour, you've cancelled them, they've gone home, but they've got to deal with the other aspects of their life, which is the most important aspect of their life, and they spend more time at home, and how to navigate that. And you touched on it brilliantly about how your partner, somebody's partner will feel your partner talking about HIV all the time. And, and you do have that with discordant couples.
Yeah.
But, so not only do you have to deal with that, but now people can look at you as if you're an unfit mom.
Because
you're not breastfeeding your child.
Yeah.
So the mental toll it does take on women, it's mad. So when I talk about HIV, I am not talking about the HIV virus from a medical perspective. I think all the issues we have around HIV is around the social issues and how that impact on our patients.
Yes.
Which us as clinicians need to be really, really wary of that. So we'll be able to support our patients and allow them time, because sometimes people say no. it's for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, it's up to us, our responsibility to have further conversation, build up that rapport to really understand where they're coming from, for us to actually understand that.
Yeah.
So, gut inflammation and vulnerability. We know that formula or solid foods introduced early can disrupt the baby's gut flora and their immune defenses. So this is the reason why Beaver, the guidelines are very, very clear. They never ever encourage or tell somebody actually you need to mix feed. But again, you have to actually look at every, case by case basis because everybody's different. And we don't discourage women to say, oh no, you can't breastfeed. Because if the data is clear, the research is clear, if you are undetectable, you've got undetectable viral load, come on. Why can't you breastfeed? Yes, we need to make sure that you adhere to your testing regime, making sure that you come into clinic regularly to get your blood test done and get your baby tested as well to check the viral load. But it doesn't stop you. And I think this just goes to show that HIV is no longer that infection that we used to think about. Once you have it, that's the end of your life. You cannot live a fulfilled life. You know, you guys are living a fulfilled life. You know, you're doing what you want to do. You can have children. Your kids are all healthy. You're doing what you want to do. So I guess, again, it's around people's understanding breast health and is there any complications, educating ourselves, educating our patients. But most importantly, please, listeners, if you're out there, have this conversation in your homes. Educate each other. Ask questions if you're not sure.
True.
Learn about the virus. Education is key.
Yeah. And again, the cultural bit comes in again on the mixed feeding. Because when I had the other baby that I breastfed, by then I read up, I did a lot of my own research, and I realized that I actually wanted to breastfeed him. Not only because formula was too expensive for me at that time, but because of all the benefits of breast milk. So a challenge I had was, in my country, people used to give babies. They could give babies porridge very early, 1 week, 2 weeks. If a baby cries too much, especially if it's a boy, and I've got all boys, if it's a boy, they'll be like, your milk is not enough. Let's give him porridge or let's give him something. So that's something you have to guard against in certain cultures. And at the same time, maybe you haven't disclosed. So I was actually trying my best to safeguard my baby against this because I had to go back to work at 3 months. So fortunately for me, I had a very supportive sister-in-law who I was living with at the time. She was looking after the baby for me. So what I would do was I would pump, I would express my breast milk and store it in the fridge. But sometimes it wasn't enough. So I would always leave her bus fare so that if the milk ran out, she would quickly get a lift to town, to my workplace, bring the baby, and I would breastfeed the baby, and then we'd go home together. So that's how strict I was being, because I was really trying my best. I was like, I'm not transmitting again. I'm trying my best. I was really strict. And it wasn't easy, but I'm grateful for the support that I got from my sister-in-law.
That's the key word, support.
Support. Yeah, that's the key word, is support, because if you don't have any support, just imagine dealing with all this. Not only you're dealing with your own internalized stigma, you're dealing with other stigma that you're going to be receiving from people, and as usual, people can talk without even having an understanding of what that person is going through. And we make comments, even us as clinicians sometimes make some comments without actually realizing what that means for that patient. And sometimes you just have to use one word, and that just sticks. And it will trigger somebody. And it's so important that we're very professional in what we do, and if we don't know, I always say ask the patient, because patients know themselves better than us.
So they're the experts.
What I've learned from the two of you, honest to God, I've been doing this job for such a long time, but I've learned so much about positivity. How your surrounding can impact on your mental health, which we do know. It doesn't matter what you have, doesn't matter who is around you, but when it comes to sexually transmitted infections and talking about it, who you talk to, who do you trust? It comes to all that.
And it does.
And you've talked about this really nice in the last our first program.
Yeah.
When you went to a hospital, when you talked to a clinician to say, "Oh, by the way, just to let you know, I'm HIV positive," and then she looked at you and said, "Why are you looking so healthy?"
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and this is healthcare workers.
Yes.
So exactly,
Yeah.
you expect us to know.
Yeah.
So it's so important that we do support our patients and give them the appropriate support. But I guess as a community,
Yeah.
that support is key.
Yeah, it is.
That community support, because our community is what we are.
Yeah.
That's what makes us who we are.
It's the village.
You know,
Definitely.
it's exactly. And if we don't talk about this in our community, and sometimes people sit in a group and they talk about it, but in a very negative way, without actually having an understanding that you might be impacting somebody who's sitting within your
Exactly. Yeah.
who's actually living with, and
Because you don't know.
you don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't.
You know, it's so
Not everybody
important.
Shares, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you can't tell who has it.
No,
Yeah, you
I
can't.
don't.
Absolutely, you can't. So I guess if anybody's out there who's listening who is HIV positive, planning a family, please talk to your nurses in clinics, speak to your doctors. You can breastfeed, but it has to be exclusive feeding. Or you can give formula milk, but it has to also be exclusively formula. But yes, you can do what you want.
Yeah.
And you can
You
have
know?
as many babies as
And you
want.
can have as many babies as you, as you can afford.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Just enjoy saying cultural competence
Yeah.
is so important, especially among self-care practitioners.
Yes.
She says, thank you for emphasizing that. And then we have Andrea. Hi, Andrea. She says it's so important to have these conversations. Some people do not know they can get pregnant if HIV positive,
Yep.
let alone breastfeeding baby. She says, thanks again, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for listening in. If you're just tuning in, you're tuned into the HIV Positive Show right here on Feminine Touch Radio. And Pore says, this is so informative. Learning that HIV is no longer a death sentence, having the knowledge and tools can have a massive impact on your well-being and family.
Yeah.
Which is so true.
It
Thanks
is,
for
yeah.
sharing, guys. As we said,
Yeah.
you can go on the chat anonymously as well. You don't have to give your real name. If you have any questions or any comments, just go on and let us know. Don't
Yep.
forget to follow us on Instagram, the HIV Positive Show, on YouTube, the HIV Positive Show. Just go on, subscribe, and share our YouTube channel
Yeah.
as well. All right, over to you, Jara.
Okay, so I don't know whether anybody's online who's basically listening to us from a resource poor country. And when I talk about resource poor countries, Sub-Saharan Africa is one of them.
Yeah.
You know, but not only that, even in this country, because we
Yeah.
do have people who are struggling, who are out there. Please share so that we can share this knowledge and have some impact, so that women do know that there is, you know, you can breastfeed.
Yeah.
And if you live in Birmingham, there is a link I was going to send, but I completely forgot about it when I was leaving the office. But hopefully I'll upload it. If you're HIV positive and you are a mother, there is free breast milk. Breast milk. There is free formula that's provided. There is an organization in Birmingham that does provide formula milk for free
that's good,
for HIV positive mothers. Actually, I need to give it to you guys for your group.
Yeah.
But you have to have a Birmingham and Solihull address.
All right.
Postcode. Yeah.
Postcode wars.
I know. So I'm really sorry. I was going to bring that up, bring it so I can actually share the link, but we'll share it on our Instagram and our Twitter handle as we go along this week. Yeah.
Okay. Somebody just popped in as well saying, quite informative, more lack of knowledge on the caregivers. They need to be educated extensively on current trends.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's really, really important. And I think people just need to understand that nowadays there's no excuse.
No.
Exactly.
You know, the
Yeah.
amount of information we have
Out
online.
there,
Yeah.
online,
You know,
the internet,
visit
social
ChatGPT.
media.
That's right.
Whatever.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
go on to Beaver. Beaver,
Yeah.
which is the British HIV Association. They have loads of information, and
Yeah.
that's BHIVA. They've got a guideline that's just come out, 2025 guidelines. It's really good. It talks about antiretroviral during pregnancy. It talks about viral load monitoring and delivery plans.
Yeah.
Infant prophylaxis and testing. So we'll talk about prophylaxis is what we give the babies when they're born, which is really important.
Yeah, it is.
Because that prevents the baby from having HIV. But once the mother is on treatment, really transmission is a nil. To be honest, although there's nothing called no risk, but we know that we've minimized the risk so much, quite a lot. And I'm hoping that UK is currently working towards zero HIV transmission during pregnancy and breastfeeding. And that's the UK goal. And there's a lot of work that's going on at the moment. So Birmingham's got something called Fast Track Cities. They've signed up to it. And the whole point of the Fast Track Cities is to reduce HIV transmission and diagnosis. But not only HIV, TB is part of that. Blood-borne viruses, you've got hepatitis B and you've got hepatitis C. It's on the back of that. Birmingham now, you know that they do the opt-out testing in A&E. Okay, because we've Birmingham signed up to it. So that's why now all the A&Es in Birmingham, when you go there, they will test you for HIV unless you decide to opt out.
What does that look like?
So if you go in for anything as a patient in A&E, they will test you for HIV unless you said, I don't want to be tested for HIV.
So will they give you your results even if you...
So you have a HIV team. So
they
when...
actually let you know that they're going to test
Yeah, they will test you. It's a routine now. Because really, to be honest, HIV opt-out. I remember when I started my job, when you want to test somebody for HIV, you will do something called a pre-test counseling. Because...
I look like
my goodness.
I had that.
Did you have pre-test counseling?
Yes. Pre and post.
Yeah. And you'll be surprised that, still in Africa, there are some African countries will still do pre and post counseling.
They do.
And the whole point of pre-test counseling is one, talk about HIV, assess the patient and see whether they are able to accept the results mentally, because you're doing your mental health risk assessment. But also, if they're telling you that they don't want to do it, what does that mean for them? Why are they saying no? So you talk about the benefit of testing, the benefit of knowing your diagnosis early. You discuss viral load management. You talk about treatment. You talk about the HIV prognosis. Yeah. So that was your pre-test counseling. And then see how, if they're positive, how they're going to manage that. To be honest, I do love pre-test counseling because I think it gives patients quite a lot of information
beforehand.
But at the same time, it can be overwhelming for patients. And
I was just thinking,
that's right.
If the doctor did that to me, I'd probably be like, oh.
Exactly.
Yeah, there is that element to it.
And I think we need to normalize it. And in order for you to normalize HIV testing, you need to basically bring it mainstream. And I think the best thing we've done in the UK is actually the A&E opt-out testing. So it's so important. Please, I cannot emphasize enough for people to know what their HIV status is. And this is not only HIV. I always say to people, your sexual health is like your physical health.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's amazing how if you pick up all the STIs, and a good one of that I always talk about people is syphilis.
Because I hear that a lot.
Yeah. So there's a lot of syphilis at the moment, especially in the heterosexual community.
Oh yeah, you said it's rising, isn't it?
Of course, it has. It is rising.
That is
we talk about this at work. Every note you look at, every patient you look at, majority of not majority, a lot of our patients, we've been diagnosed. We're diagnosing them with syphilis, and it doesn't matter. I have patients. They can be completely asymptomatic.
See?
Imagine in pregnant women.
Because we grow up with this notion, I think what it is and what's happening, and it's so dangerous, especially men and our black men. They seem to meet a woman, she looks good, she smells good, she carries herself well, and you just think, oh, there's nothing wrong with her.
She's clean.
But that woman, or that person, and I'm not going to just say man, but I know our black men and what they can be like. And they will just simply just have sex unprotected. No condoms, nothing. All up on, in this person and don't even realize that. And then the thing about it, they're not just having one partner.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's the serious part of it. They're not having one partner. And they're just moving from one to the next, like as if it's nothing.
And they're not getting tested themselves.
They're not getting tested. They're not educating themselves. They're not realizing that you're passing things on.
Yeah, all over.
Even the fact that there's this thing called I didn't even know about this.
What's
HIV.
that?
Oh yeah, the human papillomavirus and vaccination.
Oh gosh, yeah.
It's it's only since lately I've known about it
Yeah.
and everything like that. Obviously, it's one of those viruses that everybody, anybody and everybody
Can carry, yeah.
carry it. And it's something, and I was getting more education on it as well to
Yeah.
find out that it can even pass through oral sex, all of these things, once
Yeah.
you're having skin to skin.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know these things.
No.
And they're just going from one partner to the
To the
next.
other.
Exactly.
And don't realize that, listen, even though it's a virus that is not dangerous, so it still can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Especially
Especially
in
to the
women.
woman. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously with our cervix and the cells, it can cause cancer.
Cancer.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important for us as women as well to do our cervical
Smear test.
test,
Yeah.
test and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But our black men are
They be
dangerous.
spreading things around.
They are dangerous.
Oh, they are.
let me tell
They
you
are so
something.
dangerous. Yeah.
Because they're just moving from one female to
To
the
another.
next.
I don't
And
know
it don't
if they
matter-
even ask the person
No,
anything.
don't
They
have a-
don't.
I don't think they even have a conversation
No.
with anybody to
No.
say, what how is your sexual health? When is the last time
So
you
this
get
is
tested?
twofold.
Exactly.
This is twofold.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm saying this is twofold is that, in a way, for example, if I take UK, for example, right? Most of the sexual health education or the campaigns that we hear, the voices that shout the loudest are your GB, MSM communities.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
they know their sexual health inside
Oh
out.
yeah, they do.
Okay. And because they can remove the stigma from it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not afraid of talking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With us, heterosexuals in general, this is why, if you remember, I was talking about PrEP and I was saying we don't perceive ourselves as being at risk. And
Yeah.
until we take that notion away. And this is what I say to everybody, anyone who is having condomless sex with different people, you are at risk of picking up an infection.
Exactly.
Be it HIV, be it gonorrhea, be it syphilis, be it chlamydia.
HPV. Yeah.
And it's not even
It's-
just having a conversation
Yeah.
with the person, because that person that you're having a conversation with doesn't have any symptoms. So
Yeah.
as far as they're concerned,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're going to say that.
That's what they think.
Right?
Yeah.
And because that's what they think.
Yeah.
So one, we're not having a conversation, and two, we're not getting tested.
We're not.
Come on,
Exactly.
if
Yeah.
you know that you're doing this,
At least get
at
tested.
least get tested.
Yeah.
At least take care of your sexual health.
yeah.
Because it's so important. And I keep saying this because I know that our black men, and I keep saying that because that's the culture
Yeah.
that we have out
Yeah.
there with our black men. Who just feel as if, and they have this thing to say, oh, it feels better.
Yeah.
We
We don't like
it
the-
feels better until
Yeah.
you understand.
Yeah. Until you know all
And
that
it's-
stuff.
And it's like, and it's about having that trust as well.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Sort yourselves out.
Yeah.
And we are, and this is something that big people are doing.
Yeah.
Adults.
Yeah.
Adults.
Yeah, full-grown
Not
adults,
even
yeah.
like
Yeah, but
children.
if you look
Exactly.
at the diagnosis rate, we're diagnosing people who are in their late 50s.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
HIV,
And
if you
that's
look
what
at
I'm saying,
heterosexual
In
cohort.
the late 50s.
Yeah.
You think they would know
If you look
better.
at syphilis, so early stage of syphilis has increased. There was a 2% rise in early stage of syphilis from between 2023 and 2024.
Yeah.
And if you look at the late stage of syphilis, yes, in terms of transmission, if you've got late syphilis, that is, you don't have something we call the RPR, because that
Yeah.
increases the risk of you transmitting the infection.
Yeah.
It's usually you will either have a negative or very low.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that when you're treated, you cannot pick it up again.
No.
You can pick it
can.
up.
Oh, but
And
yeah.
unfortunately, what happens is I see people in my clinic who are in their 80s.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they've either gone to an eye hospital or they've gone to a GP or something has happened with them
Yeah.
neurologically.
Yeah.
They then test for syphilis, it comes back positive. We don't know how long they've had that infection
No.
for.
And it's done damage.
Yeah, exactly. So whatever treatment I am providing now, the damage is already done.
Yeah.
But we have to
Yeah,
treat.
yeah,
As clinicians,
yeah.
you will
Yeah,
always treat. So I cannot emphasize enough testing. And this thing around breastfeeding, not breastfeeding, well, you could be HIV positive without knowing that you're HIV positive.
Yeah.
And you
Exactly.
have a baby. Because if you don't test, you will never
You
know.
won't know. Yeah.
So, in a way,
won't know.
No, and
exactly.
it's not- and guys, we can't say it enough.
Yeah.
It doesn't show. There's
No,
no symptoms.
there is no
No,
symptom.
you
There's
can't do a visual test.
symptoms. You don't, you're not going to suddenly see somebody losing weight or bump or
No.
rash or anything like
No.
that. Somebody can appear perfectly well, smell good, look good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As the saying goes, don't judge a book
By its cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so true.
Absolutely.
We have to get tested. It's so important.
It's the only
especially
way.
if you know you're living a certain kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
Get
And there's nothing wrong with choosing what you want to do.
No,
It's
Exactly.
absolutely fine.
That's fine. You can
But-
do what you're doing, but
but-
don't put other people in danger.
And yourself.
And yourself.
Yeah, so I think testing is, we cannot emphasize testing enough. And in terms of testing, people might ask, where do I get tested? If you live in Birmingham and Solihull, you've got Birmingham and Solihull postcode. You can go onto the Umbrella website, www.Umbrella Sexual
Go
Health.
on Google.
Exactly, and Google it,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's there. And you can
Yeah.
order yourself a home testing kit.
Yeah.
And the kit is you test yourself at home. If you don't want the kit to be posted to your home address, you can pick it up from the many pharmacies that we do have.
Yeah.
But just to say, just a word of caution, in terms of umbrella provision for pharmacy, it's only in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Right.
Solihull is not paying for that part of the service. So if you need an umbrella pharmacy, we have about 100 plus pharmacies in Birmingham who do umbrella work. You can pick up your STI kits and you can go and test in your own comfort, in your home, test and then put it back in the post for free.
Yeah.
You can attend any umbrella clinics for testing. If you live in Warsaw, you can go to Wish. If you live in Wolverhampton. So in terms of clinics, there are lots
There's
of
so
clinics
many.
that you can
Yeah.
get tested.
Yeah.
And it,
You know.
and it's not. Trust me, guys. The clinics are so. You don't understand. These people are trained to deal with the sexual transmitted
Infections.
diseases or
Yeah.
infections. So there's no judgment. You don't feel any judgment.
At all.
As a matter of fact, I think they're happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they
Absolutely.
realize how important you take your sexual
Health.
Yeah.
which is very, very.
I always say to
important.
people, once sometimes people get very anxious coming to clinics.
Yeah.
And
They
they
do,
come
yeah.
and I always would say to them, and you can see it as a clinician, I'll say, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because some of them, it's a big thing.
Yeah.
And usually the ones that really struggle, young people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a young person, if you're listening, 65 New Street is the young person service in Birmingham. You just need to walk in.
Yeah.
You can have your contraception, you can have your STI screening, but most importantly, you will know what your HIV status is. Okay.
That's it.
It is so important that we do, talk about testing from a very young age,
Yeah.
from when you
Yeah.
start to have sex. It's important that you do get tested. And why are we testing? And some people will come in, they get tested, they go, they're negative, which means you don't have the virus. However, you have not covered your window period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So window period is so important. I cannot reiterate that enough. So
Yeah.
what does that mean? It means, say for example, I have sex 2 weeks ago with somebody.
Yeah.
I've come in today to clinic, they've tested me. That test will only show my gonorrhea, chlamydia, the bacterial infections.
Yes.
But the bloodborne viruses do take longer. HIV takes about 45 days
Yeah.
for you to cover that window
Yeah.
period. So it's important when you come in and the nurses tell you need to come back and cover your window period, don't ignore it. Come back and get tested, because I've tested people who are negative 1 minute. Couple of years later, they've come in and they're positive for HIV, and they said, "But I tested negative." But then,
But did you come back?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And when you go back and look, it's because at the time they did not cover their window period.
Yeah, that's really important.
So the window period testing is important. If
They
you
will probably have sex with somebody, and
Yeah.
like 2 days time, they're gonna have sex.
test, and you do advise for them to come back and repeat the test.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't ignore it. Repeating test is
almost
very
show up in
important.
that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it takes time for it to actually show up in your blood. Yeah.
Gosh,
So
that's
if you have
actually.
sex with somebody and you think that you're not sure, at least give it 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And go or two.
Test
at
and
least
go and test.
For your bacterial
At
infections.
least
Yeah.
for
And for
bacteria.
HIV is 45 days.
45
Yeah.
days.
For syphilis is 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a dangerous
Yeah.
one.
Guys,
I'm telling you, guys.
I think
come on.
I think the best thing, people just use protection.
Yeah.
I'm wondering do you think there's any
It's not
relationship
even that
between
as well, because remember,
yeah
protection is not 100% as well.
Yeah.
yeah
Because condoms can burst.
Yeah.
yeah
You know,
yeah
things can happen. So
Yeah.
45 days for syphilis is
No. 45 days for
For
HIV.
HIV.
for HIV.
3 months for
sorry.
syphilis.
3 months for
3
syphilis.
months for syphilis.
The bacterial infections like gonorrhea, chlamydia, you need 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is the
See, and
incubation
you need to know the
period.
difference as well.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you don't know the difference.
That's right.
So that's even something that we need to talk about more
Yeah.
as well.
Now we're gonna have a session where we're just
Yeah,
gonna talk about STIs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
our next session will just be on STIs.
yeah that's
And then we
necessary.
can talk about the different STIs and
Yeah.
treatment. Yeah, but I always say to people, if you're in doubt, just walk into a clinic. There's
Yeah.
always somebody there who will see you, book an appointment, walk in, then have a
ask the
conversation.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't
And
be afraid
go
to-
online.
Yeah.
You know, the umbrella website's got loads of information on there.
Yeah.
all the sexual health services do have a lot of information. Just all I would advise people, use the right information.
Yeah.
Don't go in a group, because sometimes you have these groups on Google and they will be giving you all these
Wrong
answers.
information, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really, really important.
To go inside. So
Exactly.
They have some people online. Rose saying, so important to test any sexual contact, including oral, even with a condom.
Yep.
There is a risk.
Yeah.
The only non-risk is for HIV transmission from somebody who is positive but is undetectable.
Detectable.
And Audrey says, so many people, I think that's probably his
My sister.
So many people ignore the window period.
Yes, they
yeah.
do.
Rose J says, lots of people don't know what condoms and other barrier methods come in different sizes. And
Absolutely.
Not 100%, but definitely make a difference. It's true.
It does.
So
So
probably need to have a program and just
Yeah.
talking about protection.
stuff.
protection.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
It does, because sometimes people think one size fits all. It doesn't work like that, because we know our the male genital the penis, it's different sizes, so we cannot ignore that.
Yeah.
And it's no point. I always talk about this. It's no point just giving somebody a condom without actually making sure that it's the right size.
Or at least give them all the sizes.
Yeah. Yeah. So they don't have to tell you what their size is.
Yeah.
5 sizes. Just
Yeah.
one
It is
pack
important.
with the 5 different
Yeah.
sizes.
Yeah.
And give to them, because not every man is gonna be truthful about their size.
Yeah.
It's true. And I think for men out there and women, you need to know that condoms, some people will use baby oil for lubricants, which is a no-no, because they can break your condom. Lipsticks can break condoms.
Oh God.
Moisturizers can break condoms.
And the condom can be
Yeah.
broken and you don't know.
That's right,
Yeah.
without knowing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's so important that you're using the right size, but also even to put the condom on.
Yeah.
Yeah. you
Making
gotta
sure
do
that there's
it
no
right.
air.
Yeah.
You know that people who don't know how to put a condom on properly, when you talk about it,
And
they
if you don't know
laugh.
how to put on a condom, don't have
Yeah.
sex. It's
Yeah,
simple.
exactly.
Yeah.
Just
But
don't do it.
the clinics do demonstrate for you.
Yeah.
There's no shame.
You have
You
to
know?
become, because it's what I'm saying. It's like we're being sensitive about this and being very shameful about something that we do.
Exactly.
This is that's how we reproduce. That's how
Yeah.
we are here.
Yeah.
That's
as
why
a-
all
as a-
these
as a-
people
as
around,
human
yeah.
beings on the earth is by having sex. So why are we ashamed to talk about?
Yeah.
these things?
Pretending like it's not happening.
Yeah, pretending like it's not happening.
Yeah.
And if somebody's gonna show you how to put on a condom, you're gonna be embarrassed.
Yeah.
For what?
For what?
Yeah.
What are
You're doing it.
You're doing it.
Yeah.
It's part of what
It is
Life,
important
yeah.
that you know.
Yeah.
I always say to
Yeah.
you, again, that comes back down to education, isn't it?
Yeah.
And taking away the stigma of not talking about sex and sexuality, which is
Yeah.
really important. And nowadays, so you end up having children learning online.
Yeah.
And some of the information that they're learning online is not even the correct information.
Exactly, yeah.
So
And
it is.
people are waiting. I know parents out there who are saying, "Oh, my kids are too young,"
Yeah.
and their kids probably be like 10,
Yeah.
12, 13. Guys, let me tell you something. They are having sex.
Yeah. They know stuff you probably
they
don't
are
know it yourself.
experimenting.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
think you're-
Yeah, they experiment.
They are.
Yeah.
You think you're a 12
Kids
or
experiment.
13-year-old.
Yeah.
Probably, they're just innocent and whatever. But they are experimenting.
Yeah.
And they probably even know a lot more than you. So
Yeah.
have these conversations. Kids are so
Open.
kids are so open and they're ready to learn.
Yeah.
And I think the more you get yourself educated, it's easier for you to then educate your children. There's
Yeah.
nothing
That's
wrong
right.
with doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not saying when you educate them they are going to be mischievous and go to
No.
and have
Knowledge is
Yeah,
power.
exactly.
That's
No,
Yeah.
all I say to
power.
people.
It's just to let them know
Yeah.
these things so that when they reach of age, right,
They
and
have the power.
understand, they have the power. They know how to say no. They know how to say yes to,
Mm-hmm.
and how to deliver, right? Because if you don't have the knowledge, how are you going to tell somebody no?
Exactly. Yeah.
No, that's not right.
That's right. And it helps them negotiate sex.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not, we need to
like
teach
gone
them.
are the
Yeah.
days when a man used to tell a young girl growing up, you'd hear a man say, "Oh, let me just put the edge in."
Yeah.
That's very dangerous.
Of course it
Very,
is.
But
yeah.
as a young girl, if your parents haven't educated you about that little pre-com,
Because that's
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 there,
right.
that's there, that once the penis is erected,
Pregnancy.
You can be pregnant, yeah.
So whether it brushes it against the vagina or pushes it in fully or just the edge of it, you can get pregnant.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you don't educate your children, then a young girl will be going out there and her boyfriend is saying, let me just touch it.
And they think it's okay.
And they think it's okay because it's not inserted
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah. It's and this thing around our bodies, the genital parts, it's really interesting. Last Saturday I went onto an obstacle course. This was done by Talk with Dr. Cisse at Cannon Hill Park. It was really, really insightful, really, really good. Where it's about these are not bad words. I don't know whether you've come across it online, where it talks about the vagina, the clitoris, the vulva. And these are words that we don't teach our children because we decide to find different words for them.
Yeah.
And, kids can get touched and they don't even know what part of the body. They can't even explain it. Yeah. So it's so important that we are.
Your mother called it something
That's right.
different.
Exactly.
You don't know.
You don't know what
it actually is.
And you can't describe it.
No.
If something is happening, you can't describe it. And we need to protect our children from abuse because we do know it's happening. Yeah. Giving them that knowledge is important. They'll be able to become confident in negotiating with partners.
Yeah.
So education is education. But then it starts with us as parents.
Yeah.
We have
It
to
starts with
educate
us as
ourselves.
friends. We have to educate ourselves. We have to have the conversations in our communities, and then that will lift the stigma. It becomes a norm to talk about it. It becomes a norm for me to get up and say to somebody, "Oh, I'm going to clinic. I need to go and get tested." Actually, I've not done my STI testing for about 3 months. For 6 months, I'm due for testing. I need to go and get tested. Oh, I need to book my smear test with my GP. These are stuff. I've had parents call me about the HPV vaccine because they don't want their children to have the vaccine. They are male children because they were going with the notion that HPV is, when they started to give the vaccine, was only for men who have sex with men. But actually now research has shown that it is very effective. So they're giving it to any guys, any boys. So boys are now having it from, I think, year 8.
Yeah.
I have people call me in my community to say, "Oh, what do you think? Should I give it to my child? I don't think my child needs to have the HPV vaccine." Then I'll stop and say, well, that boy is going to be growing up. Is going to be giving somebody oral.
Yeah.
And, well...
The thing is, things are happening in schools, in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Let's be straight now, because people think you have parents who just are clueless.
Yeah.
And they think that things are not happening. Kids are mischievous. And they're experimenting.
They're
They're doing it right on the school premises.
So it's important to protect them.
You understand me? Your child is, and it could be that they're doing it because they want to do it, or it could be that they're molested.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's right.
You understand me?
Yeah.
So it's cluing up everybody.
And having that open conversation helps that child to come to you.
It does.
It's so important. And I push HPV in my community. I tell all the mothers in our forums, I'll say to them, please get your child to have HPV vaccine. It's there. That's what the vaccine is for. Because, we have this vaccine hesitancy. People will think, oh my God, why are they giving us poisons? Because everybody has their own, what they're trying to do. But these are important, vaccines to have. If you look at hepatitis B, liver disease. But again, when you tell people actually you need to be vaccinated for hepatitis B, not everybody actually has that understanding to say I need to be vaccinated for hepatitis B.
Some people have never heard.
Some people never had hepatitis B, but you've got countries that are endemic with hepatitis B. West Africa is one of them. There's loads of people. Yes, your body can clear it, but it's not everybody who's lucky to actually clear it. You end up living with chronic hepatitis B, and some people have acute hepatitis B, and if you leave it, you can have liver cirrhosis, and that's liver cancer. So it's so important that we have conversations and engage people, and to have this conversation. And I'm appealing. I always say to people, if you work in a certain industry and you're going to educate, whatever will help the community, please talk to people. Come out, let's share knowledge, because that's how we all learn. Why are we now talking about HIV and stigma in 2025?
It should be done with by now.
It should be dealt with by now.
You equals you.
Not all sexual
health.
Why
Why are we talking about it?
Why we have to be, Why is it still shameful to talk
Talk
about
about
Yeah.
it.
something that is
Yeah.
part of the human
That's
race?
right.
Something we're
Something
doing every
that
day.
is- whether you gay, straight,
Doesn't matter.
Whatever.
upside down,
Doesn't
whatever,
matter.
it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Doesn't
Well,
matter.
You understand?
Yeah.
We're
Matter.
getting involved
Yeah,
in sex,
you know,
so what-
that stigma, and honest to God, I know people who it doesn't matter what you say or do, they will never get treatment.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know, I know people who will never, doesn't matter what you say, they'll say, God will cure me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
they
know,
are, yeah.
I'm sure you know somebody in
Yeah.
your community.
Oh, definitely.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody knows somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And that
Yeah.
is, and that's because of the stigma.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
That's what Blessing is
Yeah.
saying. So Blessing is saying they are not easy talk in most cases, especially
Yes.
with African parents.
yeah,
Just to keep communication open with your children.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I can't
Yeah,
emphasize
that's
that enough. And how do we open communication? It's by having the conversations we have.
And
Yeah.
you know why as well? If we're struggling as parents to if we're struggling, you know why? Because we're hypocrites.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because you're acting as if you're not doing this and not
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be open with your children to talk to them and have these conversations.
I
Yeah.
think also it's around the culture.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Comes down to that.
You know, sometimes this culture does impact so much on the way we think. You have people who are well educated. I know people with PhDs,
Yeah.
and they will never ever talk about sexual health.
No.
They will not talk about HIV testing because they don't want to talk about it. Because in their
Acting as if they're
culture,
not doing-
and the way they brought them up is something that is a taboo subject. You don't talk about it. But hello.
But these are people who are doing the most. When it comes
Yeah,
to sex.
exactly.
Yeah,
So it's so
yeah.
That's what I
important.
realize because
Yeah.
you know people who are you go around and you know people are acting a certain way as if they're
Holy.
I'm such and such so blah blah blah, and if you were to check them out, the kind of sex that they're having,
They're the
it's
worst.
not. You have to wonder, are you human?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
this is not like
So they're trying to hide that.
so they're trying to hide that and don't want to talk about certain things.
What they're
And,
getting
and
up
it's,
to.
it's,
Yeah.
but it's really
Yeah.
sad when you think about it.
Yeah.
You know, from a clinical perspective, it's really, really sad because by the time we pick these patients up, it's too late.
Yeah.
When actually it doesn't need to be. All you have to do is test.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's
Just get
simple.
tested.
That's
Just
it.
get tested.
That's it.
That's how simple it is. If you don't want people to know whether you're testing or not, fine. Order a test kit online.
Yeah. And you
You know?
don't need to tell
And if
anybody.
you can't talk to your children
Yeah.
about it, and you feel like you feel a way to talk to them about. Find ways that they can get the information.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tell you what I used to do.
Yeah.
Because you know how kids, I've got twin girls.
Yeah.
So I remember when I start to talk about them, and when their friends come, they're like, Mom, do you have to talk about this? So, you know, when I got fed up with it, I know they're not going to listen to me.
Yeah.
I got them to do my presentations for me.
Oh.
So I give them to research my presentations
clever.
for me. And that's
They will
how.
see the information.
That's right.
Yeah.
They will see the information. And I would do like test runs with them. And I say, okay, I've got to present tomorrow. I need you to hold the laptop and then go through my slides and see. And that's another why.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It
you
is.
know what? We talk about it. And I think that's the key. I cannot emphasize, this is 2025. Honestly, everybody knows when I work in clinic, I get really emotional
Yeah.
when I have to give another woman a positive HIV results. I get emotional because you know why? It should not happen.
Yeah. it Shouldn't. Yeah.
It should not, that shouldn't happen in 2025.
Yeah. There shouldn't be any new
It shouldn't be.
transmissions. No.
Because you've got loads of support out there. And you know, and none of them usually cannot tell you when they're tested. Or they're with somebody who's never tested before. And sometimes, just like you said before, woman can get tested, the man will never get tested.
Yeah.
You know,
The men are not getting tested.
they're not getting tested. And I think this
And
is
they're
the thing.
sleeping around.
Yeah,
and that's the thing.
we need
Yeah.
to just, and now sex is easy. You go
Oh, yeah.
online,
Oh my
Yeah.
it's casual.
Yeah.
You know, it's absolutely fine.
And it could be free as well.
You can do whatever, but just get tested. I cannot emphasize
That's
testing
what I'm saying.
enough.
People are just,
You know?
it's so easy to have sex nowadays.
Yeah.
That. But, it's like, get tested.
Testing,
Exactly.
testing.
Get tested.
Yeah.
And worse,
prevent
you're
it.
not using protection.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Get
Yeah.
tested.
Tested.
Protect yourself.
That's
and
right.
protect others.
And the message is, if you don't want to get tested, well, I will say there's nothing called if you don't want to get tested. Because if you want to go on the pre-exposure prophylaxis, which is PrEP, you have to have a negative HIV.
Yeah.
Because that's the standard. You have to have a negative HIV and you have to come into clinic every three months,
For a
3 to
test.
6 months for a test for
Right.
HIV, syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia. All your tests has to be done for us to be able to give you the medication, because that's the most important thing. We're not going to give you PrEP if you're HIV positive already,
Yeah.
because that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
So it is really important that we are picking that up. And I think women out there, please, if you're a woman and you haven't got tested yet, even if your partner doesn't want to get tested, it's important that you do get tested.
Yeah.
And if you're a woman living with HIV, pregnant, or thinking about becoming a mum, your health matters, your choices matter, and your story matters. Let's keep the conversation going. It's so important. It is really important that we do keep the conversation going.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And if you're not sure whether you want to breastfeed or you want to formula feed, please speak to your clinicians in clinic. They'll be able to support you through this. If you're really struggling, you've got psychotherapists in all the clinics, as far as I'm aware,
Or your
who will
peer
support
mentors as
you,
well.
and you've got your peer mentors.
Yeah.
If you want peer mentors and you don't want any peer mentor that you think know you, these two ladies that are here, Yannick and Chido, are both HIV peer mentors. They're trained mentors. So please drop us a text message, and then we can link you up with them. If you want further information, please drop us a text message. If you've got questions to ask, we are here to support
You
and
can
provide.
message us anonymously on Instagram, because we're on Instagram, HIV Positive Show on Instagram. Drop us a message there. You can drop messages on YouTube as well.
Yeah. Or email.
Or email, hivpositive25@gmail.com.
Yeah.
You know, and the email address is on our YouTube, and it's on our Instagram account.
Yeah.
You can private message us on Instagram as well. So if you haven't got our numbers, if you're listening in and you know that you haven't got our telephone numbers, you can go on our Instagram, guys. Find us on there.
Send a message.
Send a message.
We'll
On
see it as soon as
YouTube,
it's in.
We'll see it. As I said, our email address is on there. Just drop us a message, and we'll be more than happy to support.
Yeah.
And if you're living with HIV but you're really struggling, you basically not engaging with services, or you're new in the city, please contact us. We will signpost you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because signposting is very important.
Yeah.
And Pore says, I think the narrative is slowly changing with our young girls. I know some that makes it a point of duty to test before getting into relationships.
Oh, that's good.
Especially when they're talking about marriage.
Yeah.
But you see, that's the thing as well too. We as women always have that pressure.
Yeah.
And you see, the ladies will do it.
I know.
But the men not doing it.
Yeah.
The young men are not going in.
They don't want to be tested. No.
You know, it's up to the woman to get tested.
And I think this is the thing. It's the same conversation we have. You know, when we're training our girls, and we'll say to children, we said, the girls, you're going to be somebody's wife tomorrow. You're going to be this. You need to be doing this.
Yeah.
But how about our boys? We need to be
what are we
training the
telling them?
boys.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to be somebody's husband.
Exactly.
Somebody's partner. You know, it's important that we train all of them equally.
Exactly.
And we're giving them the same message.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
Give
no
them the
double
same message.
standards. Yeah.
Not double standards. No.
Exactly, yeah.
Because it's two people in the marriage. You know.
Each one has to bring something to the
Yes.
table. Yeah.
Of course. Of course. So,
Yeah.
yes, guys.
Somebody's just sent me a text and is asking when should they start the antiretroviral therapy. So antiretroviral therapy should ideally begin if you're already living with HIV before before you start to have a baby.
Yeah.
Because if you're living with HIV, you should be on treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get it? So really,
Or as
once
soon
you're on
as you
treatment,
find out,
exactly.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
as soon as
you
you
get
find out,
on
you
it.
need to be on it.
Yeah.
Or by 24 weeks of gestation. At latest 24 weeks of gestation. That's really important because late presenters after 28 weeks we start them immediately on ART because it's really important that you start, because the sooner you start, the earlier you will suppress the virus. But do you wanna, the person that texts me, just link me in so we can speak a bit more about this. If you are thinking of pregnancy, or if you're living with HIV at the moment and you're not accessing any care, please do contact us. So we can actually signpost you. Or if you are with a service and maybe you don't understand when you're in clinic, because sometimes we do use jargons, and you want to have a better understanding, feel free, just drop us a text and then we will have a conversation. Be more than happy to have a conversation.
Because a lot of times people get information and you get intimidated.
Yes.
by the nurses
Or
and
overwhelmed.
doctors. And as we say, we are on Instagram, so if you're feeling a certain way or not sure, you can drop us that message.
That's right.
This is what was said today.
Yes.
You know, can you explain?
Yeah.
Or break it down for me, or ask the questions that you want to ask if you were intimidated to ask that. Because
And if you're not sure, always just link us in, and then we will have a conversation. If you are struggling to engage with a service, please also drop us a message. These two ladies, beautiful ladies, will support you through clinic for you to be able to get you want to register you with a service. Very important, because sometimes when we have people move into the city and they don't know which service to go to, and you don't want to be signposting somebody a service that they're going to have to take 3-4 buses. Especially if you're an asylum seeker and you know the money is a problem, and you know we know it's very difficult, it's challenging. So you want to make sure that we're signposting you the clinic that's nearest to you, but also we can signpost you to other services that can provide support. There's a lot of support available.
Or even if you just want to talk, because we've come across a lot of people who say, oh, I'm so glad I found this group. Like with our support group, they'll be like, sometimes I just want to talk to somebody who understands my situation. So if you just want to talk, send us a message and we'll talk. Just have a chat, whatever.
Because we understand, we understand what it's like.
Exactly.
It can be a lonely place, because I remember there was a time where I felt like
you're the only one in the world.
The only one in the world. It is a lonely place.
It is,
especially if there's nobody else around you who is living with HIV. It can be lonely because you can't express how you're feeling, and you know they won't understand when you say certain things. And even if you have friends that support you, you still can feel lonely because they're not living with. That's right. So they don't understand what you're going through. They never will.
No.
You know, as they would say, you know, put the shoes on the other person's feet, because they'll never know until you're in it. You won't know.
And I think signposting to support groups, especially newly diagnosed, is very important, because those support groups, I always tend to encourage newly diagnosed to access support groups. And the reason for this is it helps them to navigate the clinics, but most importantly, to see that somebody's gone through it and they're actually telling their stories.
They're okay.
And they're okay. Because the first thing people think about is, that's it, that's the end of my life. But when you go